each business, like we also as marketers and like in the industry, like for me, we are the people that should be the most responsible ones. Like the consumers, they like we should try to shield them in a way. Like we need to be responsible. Like it's not about the customer having to click unsubscribe, but it's about you not spamming the people and like respecting their personal space. So I really do think that the company, the responsibility in the end should always fall on the company.
You're listening to Ecommerce, a Debutify podcast, your resource for one-of-a-kind insights into the world of e-commerce and business in the modern age. This is Joseph. I'll be presenting a wealth of industry knowledge from interviews with successful business people and our own state-of-the-art research. Your time is valuable, so let's go. Elena Kostova, it is good to have you here on Ecommerce. It's an honor to finally have somebody from SMSBump on the program. It's your company, your service, along with Debutify. We've been doing a lot of work together, so it's great to be a part of that larger conversation. So how you doing today? How you feeling?
First of all, thank you for having me. It's a really great pleasure. It's as you said, it's also great working with the whole team of Debutify. I'm doing great today. It's spring is coming soon, so like really happy to get more sunny days. How are you?
I'm doing all right. For listeners who tuned into our previous episode with Farhad Hassan, I got to do some housekeeping. So for those of you listeners who thought my nightmare with the drilling outside was over, it is not. Those wires are still hanging outside. So we'll continue this saga as long as it goes on for. Also, I just wanted to say I love that glass that you had. By the way, for audio listeners, if you're wondering if you've been betrayed, yes, you've definitely been betrayed. I know what this feels like. It's a video show now. We're all just going to have to get used to this. But can you show the glass to our listeners for a second, or to our viewers for a second? Because
You mean this one?
Yeah, that one. That is gorgeous. I never seen it with that like.
It's what's the really great thing about the glass? It comes with the bottle, so they're like two in one. Like once you stop drinking, like you can close it up. And it really reminds me of when I used to travel to Italy. They always give you like one garrafa and with like really cute small glasses for water. So it's like creates a really nice feeling at home.
We had a glass like that. I'll tell you a quick story before we get into this. So my dad was trying to show us like this science experiment, or maybe he just wanted to light alcohol on fire. Maybe it was both. And so he has a glass very much like that same composition, and he pours the alcohol in it. It might have been vodka. I just remember being very clear. He lights it on fire, and it ignites, and it's blue, and we're all looking at it fascinated, and it's beautiful. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And 10 seconds go by, whoosh, the whole thing blows up, and we all like, what? So we haven't.
A great experience with alcohol. Like I think if I started the first time I had contact with alcohol with like something exploding, my student years might have been slightly different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible he was trying to warn me. Did it work? Some of the time. Eventually, it wore off, and now I have like high school nostalgia for Jack Daniels. Like I'm not much of a drinker anymore. I do rarely drink. There's plenty of other things to enjoy, but with Jack Daniels, as soon as I open that bottle and I take a whiff, I'm like, summer of grade 11, going into grade 12. Yeah, takes me back.
It's like the memory.
So you are, as I basically gave away to the audience, is you're with SMSBump, but there's also like the Yotpo company, which I have to say I don't know too much about. So I will want to hear a little bit about the association with that. But we'll get to that. First, I have to ask you this. Not that it's a contractual obligation or anything. I haven't not asked this question, so I'm not going to stop now. But tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Elena Kostova. I'm a product marketing manager at SMSBump. But in other words, I can say like me with a really amazing and talented team of several other marketers, we manage the SMSBump part of the marketing. And because, as you mentioned, we are now part of Yotpo, of this bigger family. So like we are kind of divided into different silos based on different products. So yeah, I work at the SMSBump part.
Now, was SMSBump, so was it like bought or merged into Yotpo?
We got acquired last year in February, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's important for audience to understand some of the some of how the industry is organized. We don't have to get too much into what Yotpo is, but I think it's important for people to understand that there are larger companies similar to, say, like, I don't know, a phone company that has a bunch of brands that it works for, or a media company that has a bunch of studios. There's a lot of analogies, none of which I'm formulating as accurately as they deserve, but I tried. So can you just give us like a quick rundown of what Yotpo was about, as far as you are able to, really?
Course, of course. So Yahoo started several years ago as a reviews provider, and it only grew from there. So right now, there are, like, I would say, maybe four main silos. We have reviews, we have UGC, loyalty, which was also as part of an acquisition of the Swell companies. Some people might know it previously. And now with the acquisition of SMSBump, they added an additional branch, which is SMS marketing. And the goal of the company is to create this 360 degrees platform for e-commerce marketers, basically to find all the solutions under one head, to have this full synergy of all the products, to just like enrich also like the customer data of the profile of your customers. So like, yeah, basically what Adobe is doing, like I would say in terms of, how Adobe is for designers,
Yeah.
similar Yotpo should be for marketers in the e-commerce ecosystem.
Yeah, it's great that you bring up Adobe, because I have a long relationship with that particular software, or that company. When I was very young, only 8 years old,
Yeah,
I legally acquired a copy of Flash,
yeah,
and I legally made cartoon content on it, and it was a great starting point because that unlocked my creativity. Now, Macromedia was bought out by Adobe, and Flash is now called Animate, at least to everybody else. I refuse to call it that, except by accident. So, from a business model perspective, and the most important reason to bring this up is that it presents the customer with really the ultimate value proposition. I subscribed to like the full Creative Suite for a couple of years, and I did the math as best I could because I'm actually abysmal at math. But if you use at least four of however many pieces of software there, you make your money back. Um, and so what I would wonder about is there like a parallel or of the Creative Suite where there's a way to just get all of the services all together with like a one-time or I don't know, a yearly subscription fee or whatever. So in that way, it's really up to the user to maximize their value as best they can.
yeah. That's definitely that we look at for the future. Like, still, we are trying to ramp up all the different products, and like to increase the synergies and to create like really kind of all-in-one product for this to be possible. So we're sure to provide with the best experience to the customer. But yeah, this is. I don't want to speculate, but ultimately, this is how I think the things will go down. Like once we really create those really strong synergies across all of the different products.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a value driven industry, right? So any opportunity to give people that kind of opportunity is worth addressing at the very least. All right, so let's shift to SMS Bump. Now we've talked about this on the program a couple of times. In fact, it was one of the first things I talked about when I had the Ecom King, like way back, like episode 3, 4, somewhere around there. Again, not math, not strong suit. And so we talked about it, but we haven't had somebody with the company give us like the formal introduction for it. So I think we should do that. So tell us what SMS Bump is about, and also while you're at it, also tell us a bit about how it started and like how, as much as you can, really, I identified its ability, like the difference between sending text messages and not sending text messages, as far as you're aware, because no one person is like the be all end all historian on the subject. All right, I'm gonna have some water while you do your thing.
I just wanted to make a joke that maybe 1 hour wouldn't be enough, but I'm just kidding.
When we get to the hour, we can stretch.
Yeah, yeah. SMS Bump is an SMS marketing provider for Shopify and e-commerce businesses. We basically help merchants recover abandoned carts, create meaningful relationships, and actually boost sales, essentially all through SMS messages. Um, we like basically how SMS marketing works is like in two different areas. So on one side you have the automation part; those are the so-called trigger-based messages, may it be via automations or flows. Flows are just more complex automations where you can set a lot of different rules and create what-if scenarios, and that's basically the, I would say, the most ROI driven part of SMS marketing, because it's based on a direct customer action. For example, customer abandons a cart, they receive a message. They make an order, they receive a thank you message, or order confirmation. So these are like the really ROI driven part of the messages. But then also we have the one-off messages, which is like the most traditional SMS marketing, so-called campaigns, where like you have a product launch or a sale, or you want to announce something to all of your audience or to a specific group of people, and then it's like you send a simple one-off message. This is basically how what SMS marketing is all about. And in terms of how the company came to be, and it's how we grow and how we came to what we are now. I think in 2017, Mikhail and Georgi, the two co-founders, actually started it as a little bit of a side project. They tried to solve a particular problem of a customer of not being able to reach their customers with emails. Like they were really ineffective, so they started like to researching to see what other channels of communications there are, and then they came to this really traditional method, SMS, and they just decided to start launching all the transactional messages on SMS as opposed to email. And they actually saw that a lot of people were actually open, like reading them, like clicking through them. So they saw actually attraction there. And this is how the idea actually came to be, like from just a really simple case from one particular customer. And I think once when they actually started really seeing that the industry, like SMS, is a really viable channel to reach, and it's really like the industry is also ready for it, was I think around 2018 when they started seeing more and more merchants purchasing the app, using it, and like seeing the interest into it. And yeah, this is how officially SMSBump was created. And yeah, fast forward to last year when we got acquired, and also like I think last year was also the year of SMS. I would say as a channel, like in 2019, still a lot of people were unsure what if this is a really viable channel, or this is just like the old spam from the 2000s that a lot of people know about. But I think in the like last year to the 2020, it was like with the COVID and everything, people realized that it's a really good channel. It's a cost-effective channel. Like the benefits of always sending messages at the same price, because I think for me that's the key. Like with Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads, they're great in reaching your customers. They're great in reaching your customer base. But the problem is holidays come and you see skyrocketing. Skyrocketing cost per click or cost per install, whatever your product is. Whereas with SMS, you have the stable. Like no matter if it's Black Friday or it's just a normal Tuesday, you still pay the same amount for your messages. And I think that's what a lot of customers actually started to appreciate, and just the higher adoption by the end customer, like just normalizing the fact that merchants are reaching and talking with their customers via SMS, really kind of exploded the industry. Like we're seeing more and more competitors joining and like trying to get piece of the cake. So yeah, I think that's the history of it in short. I hope it was good enough.
Yeah, I picked up a couple of points I wanted to raise out of that. So one of them, there's a through line that I've identified over a lot of the people that I've talked to, is that no medium ever truly goes out. I could be more consistent on this. I'm pretty sure I've said radio died a number of times, but I think I've also said that radio died and then was resurrected. And I think one time I said radio was actually a phoenix. Then there's times where I've said that radio has evolved And what we're doing now is radio. I definitely see myself as a radio guy. I sorry, I haven't had to really try my radio DJ voice. Whoa, welcome to Ecommerce. Yeah, no, it's not worth it. Okay, so text messaging, it doesn't have the same archaic perception that some of these other mediums had, because people are sending out postcards. Well, different parallel entirely. People are making music on vinyl, and what's funny is that vinyl actually like is superior sound quality, which I didn't see that one coming. Um, but getting back to marketing, I had John Crestani, who's a superstar marketer, and he realized that there was an opening for TV ads. And you have like generations coming up right now who don't even have TVs, right? They're just doing everything. They're just watching everything on their phone. So it's always. I think what happens is the perception that a particular medium dies is only because the market has expanded so drastically that the particular market share of that medium, some of it has diminished. People do move on to other ways of communication, but the core is still there. It's just it becomes smaller in the grand perspective because there are other ways to message people now. I think Facebook messaging, I guess WhatsApp is still basically texting, but some people have WhatsApp on their computer. So it's funny to me that like text messaging is a midway point between it's still a contemporary medium. It's obviously it's digital, um, but it's also not the latest revelation in communications and media. I don't even know what the latest revelation is. I think at this point it's just people sending TikToks to each other, or someone will make like a 15-second video and then they send it to the friend and then he sends them a TikTok. Then they're having like a TikTok conversation, and I just want to throw up at the thought of that. Not because I'm against it, just the idea of following that would make me dizzy. So that's all well and good. I what I also noticed is when you said that the cost is consistent, that is huge. Because as you were saying, trying to reach out to other customers, especially during critical times in the holiday season, Facebook advertising, Google advertising, the price skyrockets. However, there is one sticking point, which is that with SMS, it's remarketing. So I don't think there is a top of funnel, but you can correct me if I'm right or if I'm wrong about that. Where I don't think that there's a way to send text messages to people who have not shown some level of interest yet. Like they have to at least come to the website. Maybe they put something into the cart and then they abandon it. Hence the abandoned cart recovery. So am I right about that, or is okay? Actually, here's a better way to ask the question: how early on in the funnel is text marketing actionable?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Thank you. It took me a while to get there, but I got there.
And actually, as you mentioned yourself, it's really correct to say that this is remarketing channel. SMS is also a consent-based channel, meaning that you cannot just go on and like send messages to whoever you think of, like just type in some random numbers and hope for the best. No, this doesn't work like this here. It's a highly regulated industry, also because as text marketing and like it's sent to your personal phone number. It's a really personal channel. Like that's why it's like there are a lot of rules that needs to be taken care of, and compliance is like a really big part of it. I'm sure that everyone who has started with SMS marketing, they at least once in their lives heard about the TCPA compliance. So no surprise here. It's really, I would say, it's definitely maybe middle of the funnel part of the, like if if you have the funnel, I'd say it's really in the middle of the funnel, just because it's you should have had already a first touch base with the brand, like be it via ad or be it via the website. Like of course there are a lot of different ways to collect subscribers and like leverage all those different channels, but they should have reached through to your brand already for them to convert into subscribers.
Mm-hmm. And how is text marketing? By the way, I don't actually know if it's called text marketing. I just think that's like a fundamental way of saying it. How is it compared to email marketing? Because I think both of them have a lot of similarities. You don't, I guess you do, but as far as my experience goes, I don't really get emails from companies that I haven't already touched base with or purchased from or even shown interest in. So there seems to be a lot in common between those two. But how have you seen the two stack up? Where have you seen like strengths and weaknesses in text messaging versus email marketing?
Yeah, to be honest, I think they go really well hand in hand. Like a lot of people say, okay, but I have I have email marketing program. Why do I need SMS? And for me, it's just like the two channels serve very different purposes. Like SMS is really direct, and like it's those like you have a single intent, you have a single reaction. So basically, for example, if you abandon a cart and you want the customer to react fast, then send them a message. This is much faster way to approach to people. Like studies show that SMS messages are opened within the first 3 minutes. But at the same time, SMS is a really short media. Like this is all about being brief and straight to the point. You want them to do something, you just say it within 200 words. That's it. Whereas with email, this is where you can actually show more of your brand, to talk about your bigger purpose. Like even if you, for example, are launching a really big collection and you want all the people to see, then email is the right channel to do this. Like email, like it's much lengthier. It's like you can put the branding, you can be inspirational there. I think it's just people need to use those two different channels together, but also like for different purposes. As I said, like with trigger based messages work definitely. Maybe someone might correct me here, but for me they work much better on SMS. But when it comes to like those big launches, like the welcoming people and like talking about your bigger purpose, then definitely go for email there.
Right, and and content too. Like I if I get an email, it could be a whole newsletter. It could be a blog post that's just repurposed into an email. Whereas if I get that in a text message, I'm like, I barely read the messages sent by my mom. I don't know how much I'm going to scroll through this. So I'm also going to ask you something about my own personal experience with this because I've been the recipient of text marketing, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of like take a look at and where like what my message history is like. So I'm just going to pull it up on the screen real quick for our listeners to get a sense of it. So
It's
these
a little
are
blurry. I think you need to click maybe or like come
okay.
closer.
Well, I'm going to abandon that idea because that could take way too long to try to get into. But um, so my text messaging has certainly evolved from when I first used it. So I think at the very first text messaging, it was really just like people I knew that were texting me. Whereas now, here's what kind of messages that I get: my FIDO code, codes from Uber, an Amber Alert. Hope she's okay. We have WhatsApp codes, a e-transfer, Crystal, who I haven't talked to in years, 2 years. This is the Conservative Party of Canada. Like, can you support the Conservative Party? I'm like, well, I haven't had a look at the platforms and I'm currently undecided. There's a whole like running joke where people would like post like somebody would get a text message from the Conservative Party and people would respond back, "Screw you, conservatives, got them." Whereas I'm just like, well, you know what? If you give me a second, I would just have a look at it. So what I wanted to do in preparation for this is I wanted to look through what is the first, or I guess if I start from the bottom and work my way up, when will I see a text message being marketed to? And I go back quite a ways here. So the first one that I have is from Long and McQuaid, which here in Canada is a well-known music store. So this is a local business that's using text messaging to, well, it's local, but they have a company, they have a bunch of chains, so they send these things out in aggregate. And my experience with text messaging has changed dramatically, as I say. It used to just be like people. And I can do this one of two ways. I can be like kind of conniving and I can say, are these things kind of like lowering people's perceived value of text messaging? I could do that because I think that's a fair question, but I'm going to do something a little bit more, I think, productive, which is ask, unless you have a fair answer to that, by all means, go ahead, knock yourself out. But I think a more fair and positive question is how can the text messaging elevate itself to the level of being messaged by my friends, being messaged by my parents, and kind of like being on more of a parallel with those. And other thing I'll say too before I let you have at it is that like when I get a message from my mom, I got a picture, I got the phone number. It's turned into like it says "ma," so it's a very personal experience of getting a message from my ma, right? Um, so there's definitely a disparity between the feeling that I get getting messages from companies versus that. So go ahead, let me know what are some of the challenges you face in that sector.
Okay, so if I need to paraphrase, your question is when and how can SMS marketing or text marketing get more personalized and reach to the personal level that we have with like by chatting with friends or family?
That's great. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
okay, yeah. That's a really good question. The next great question.
Thanks.
Um, what I would say is like currently there are some changes happening, especially in the states, that really go into that direction. Like in general, the whole industry, like uh, I would say up until now, everyone was a kind of a newbie in with SMS marketing. It was all about sending generic campaigns to everyone. Like maybe sometimes not even like using personalized things like first names, like store names, like just like hey, we have a sale, 50% off. Here's the link. That's it. Like this would be like the most common, like some of the most common messages that we would see. But now with also higher adoption from the customers, like they also started to become also more picky on like what they convert on. And now definitely personalization is a really big trend and topic around the industry. One of the things that are like currently changing, especially in the US market, is like the I don't know if you have heard, but like the ban of the share short codes. So people like if before you'd receive you'd see a same number but multiple messages from multiple brands. This can no longer happen. Basically, the US providers, I think it was AT&T and T-Mobile, are like strongly advising against it. So now more and more brands start to move to personalized phone numbers. Like also, I hope that this show is launched in several weeks when this is going to be already announced. But we are also like we're working in like it's also industry standard that people would be able to send their contact cards to their customers. So like the first message you'd receive would be, "Hey, welcome to our club. But also, by the way, this is our phone number. Save it in your phone and you can pull the picture of the brand, your brand name, and then this is also like and your personal phone number, which is a great first step to personalize it. Um, and then just like as the next steps is just a matter of like good segmentation using the right short code. So like things like using always the first name, trying to segment people based on what they purchased last. So for example, if you have three products in your store and you know that person bought, I don't know, like a suitcase, they'll add this to your copy, say, "Hey, did you like the suitcase? By the way, we just launched also this, you want to take a look at it." So like trying to use those like better segmentation to make also the message much more personal. I think that's like a lot of the direction a lot of brands are starting to go towards too. So I think it's definitely going there. I wouldn't say that it's going to happen from today to tomorrow, but it's definitely a process that is like in a strong pace.
hmm Okay, this one might be a sillier question, but I think there could actually be a nugget of value to this, which is when you look at the major phone companies, they're the ones that are basically charging the money for users to send messages to one another. Then you get your phone plans and stuff like that. Whereas with text marketing, it's part of the industry, and the desire is to convert and reconvert customers. So there's a monetary transaction there. Have the major phone companies had any issue with the fact that these are text messages used as a means to generate revenue versus a personal dialogue between people who are just friends or family?
Yeah. Short answer would be like the simple answer would be no. But as I said already, like it's a really highly regulated industry. So like what they're trying to do is just to make sure that people know that this channel is going to be used by brands for commercial means, so for marketing means. Like you have all those compliant texts. So like it's not like with email. If you want to sign up for the email address, usually you see in the text, hey, we're gonna send you like a newsletter, like one sentence, that's it. But if you look at like SMS compliant brand, like you see, for example, in the checkout, they have those long texts there, and they're mandatory for all the pop-ups or keyword subscriptions, all the subscription methods. You have a really explicit wording which is saying, hey, you leave your number, but we're going to use it for marketing purposes. And this is how basically the mobile operators try to make sure that each customer is really aware of what's happening. Each customer knows that they're going to be remarketed, they're going to receive promotional messages. Um, so definitely they're okay with it, but it's, as I said, it's highly regulated.
Hmm. Well, one thing, not to get like too far into the political ramifications of it, but corporations are supposed to be legally regarded as entities. They're like technically people.
Mhm.
In doing so, it alleviates the ability. It takes the pressure off the people running the company. That if the company itself goes bust, that the people are not held financially liable for it. Which again, trying to avoid my conniving self, the positive side to that is that it does allow people to actually conduct their business and not be so reluctant to take risks, because if they take a risk and it doesn't pan out, the company absorbs the losses and the damages. You don't want to know that it ruins somebody's life over it. We want to encourage people to take risks, because that's how society moves forward. But that's all that aside. I do think it's interesting that with this heavy regulation is not something that they would do to a person. But even if a corporation is still legally regarded as a person, anyways, it actually should be less regulated on principle. But again, that's the political ramifications. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit that I observed personally. So I'll move on to my next question. But did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I just
Okay.
wanted to say that it's a really interesting way of seeing the things, because for me, um, each business, like we also as marketers and like in the industry, like for me, we are the people that should be the most responsible ones. Like the consumers, they like, like we should try to shield them in a way. Like we need to be responsible. Like it's not about the customer having to click unsubscribe, but it's about you not spamming the people and like respecting their personal space. So I really do think that the company, the responsibility in the end should always fall on the company.
I agree with that, and I think it's the same. It is very similar with emails too. That if somebody is constantly getting emails and the overall content is just not there, then they get burnt out by it. And also, me personally, I got burnt out on email marketing altogether, because I was getting so many emails from so many different companies that I just went on this like unsubscribe spree, where I just unsubscribed to like a bunch of companies. Quick story. So there's this nerd convention called Fan Expo here in Canada. It's like Comic-Con in the States, and Fan Expo was email marketing to me, and I hit unsubscribe, and then they send me another email. I think what they did is they had like several different variations of it, so they can constantly do it. And so I hit unsubscribe again. Another week goes by. A different Fan Expo, like Fan Expo North, or Fan Expo After Dark. They send me an email too. So by the fifth one, I contacted them and said, please, for God's sake, stop sending me these emails. I can only unsubscribe so many times. That actually worked. So there are limits to our consumer patience, and I think a lot of that really is the company. The companies understand that if somebody, I would say, let's just say they purchase like a high ticket item, like jewelry, I don't think they're going to go get jewelry every day. Whereas if somebody is, I don't know, let's take a Walmart, or it's like a big box retailer, there's incentive to go there maybe every week, because there's always something different to pick up. Maybe the spatula broke or whatever. I guess some people do go to big box retail to get their jewelry, but that's not neither here nor there. So my next question is about communicating back from the customer side. Is, have companies had customers like respond to these text messages, and if so, how are they dealt with? Or do you have somebody? Is there like a software where they can respond to them, sort of like intercom, where they can just answer text messages back, or is it mostly a one-way street? Just how does the dialogue go both ways?
Yeah. So SMS marketing is a two-way channel, meaning that once you send out a message to your customers, of course they can write you back. That's like it happens a lot of times. And actually, we just were analyzing the data, and we realized that in 2020 compared to 2019, the message replies from customers actually increased with 4 times, which is, I would say, it's a quite big of an increase. And it was really interesting to see that, more and more customers started to perceive this as a, like, like as a really valuable two-way channel for communication. And how it works, it can pay out on 2 different ways. So in one way, you receive this inside of the SMS Bump software, like you have a separate menu which is called chats, and then there you receive your replies, you see your full customer profile, so you know whom you actually, like, chatting with. And basically it works as if a chat, just the communication is in the end of the day, like you still chat, but like the customer receives this as a text message. But also what customers can do, what merchants can do, is just to connect it with, let's say, Gorgeous, Zendesk, Reame, so like all those customer support platforms, and just feed all those messages to their, like, to this system. Their support agents can simply reply their, like, text back. And the great thing is, although it's still reported and everything works through Gorgeous, the people won't receive an email, but they would receive the text message. So like for the end customer, you have a single point of entry, or single point of communication with the brand. But for the brand, the great thing is they don't need to switch from platform to platform. They can do everything in this one help desk, which I think it's like the optimal experience for everyone.
So for our audience, a lot of our audience are people like me who are, well, actually, I wouldn't want to assume anybody is like me. That's not doing very many people very many favors, but similar to me in that they are entering e-commerce. I have my own store. I just sorted out like who my supplier is going to be, starting to get my product working. I got to sort out advertising. There's a lot to deal with. So um, for people in just like their starting point, when can they integrate it? I do know that there's a free service to start, and you just pay for the messages you send. So when would you recommend that people onboard this product or service?
Well, I'm a person of numbers, so truth to be told, like when it makes sense for to integrate, or like to jump on the, like a, let's say, a paid plan where you can, for example, leverage all the integrations, all of the more advanced features, is when you start seeing, like, making money out of it. Like a monthly, the minimum monthly subscription is like $20. If you see that on month you're making 1,000, it's a very small investment to make. I think it's also about what platforms you're currently using. So if, for example, if you're using a lot of, like, you have review system, you have your loyalty system, you have your email system, and you want to connect them all together. So if your goal is to be really coherent in your marketing, and you want to use SMS for a lot of the messages that you're sending across the different platforms, then it makes sense to connect them all together. But if you're just starting up, like, you have, let's say, less than 100 subscribers, you're still figuring things out, you're still also figuring your product offering, because I know in the beginning it's also about finding the right product for your business. Then I would really say that start with the free, like see how it goes, figure out what automations work for you. And once you feel comfortable with the app and with SMS marketing, then it's the right time to upgrade, like, to start using flows, to start integrating, to open up the chat. So all those things are, I feel it also, like, for a merchant, they happen naturally. Like you just start, like, understanding the platform, because I think in the beginning it's just like everything is new. Like there's so many things to to take in, and you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Like I think it's, for merchants, it's good to give themselves time to just like explore and like test different things, and just see what works best for them.
Right, and it comes down to the very simple premise is sell a product, or even more simply than that, solve a problem for somebody. And yeah, I think, and this is happening to me too. It's, as you say, things can be overwhelming because there are so many products and services and offers. I myself, I get a lot of advice from a lot of people. A lot of that all comes together. And I guess it is also important for people to understand too, is this a marketing channel that I feel is right for my brand? I think for the most part, it's pretty solid. Like I think for most companies can use it in some way. If the Conservative Party Canada can use it, if Long and McQuay can use it, there's I for the record, people, I'm not like anti-conservative or anything like that. My voting record is very sporadic, but there are obviously a lot of different organizations and a lot of different people use it. So I definitely think it's worth thinking about how can I use it in a way to augment the rest of my marketing strategy, because then you want to integrate emails, you want to integrate affiliate and all of that. So that's all really well and good. So I think the last thing well, there might be like a couple of other things, but the last thing that I want to know is also the just where like manual stops and automatic starts. Because I think some of the automation is, like, as you were saying earlier, if somebody puts a product into their cart and then they stop, I'm not like hunched over my computer like a hawk waiting for them to do that. That's an automation. So yeah, can you just like let us know about some of the other automations that we can use?
Yeah, of course. And by the way, I even would like to change your words, because you said
Go ahead.
where
Yeah.
manual starts and automation stops, like when menu stops and automation starts. I'll say even with SMS marketing, it's the other way around. Like what most of the people do is just like, set up the compliance, turn some automations on, wait a bit, start like, see what's happening, and only then they'll feel like, okay, let's end the campaign, let's maybe do this. So the automations part is, I think it's like pretty self-explanatory. Basically, what I think it's like also like an industry standard is like basically you have those standard automations. I would say like the win back flow, or like the win back automations, depending on how you like to do your marketing. The browse abandonment. And the upsell flows are the three, I would say, most frequently used automations. And how it works is usually we have preset text, we have the preset triggers and everything. You just need to activate it. If you feel that you want to personalize it and add your own brand to it, your own personal voice, then of course you can just like edit the text. But like once you activate it, the messages are gonna start automatically triggering, and like sending out to the customers once they kind of touch upon that trigger. And it yeah, it just like, as long as you have money in it and subscribers, they'll just run. That's how it works. But what I would like to advise also people is to, like once they're starting, depending on your location. So I think in the States, and in Canada as well, like customers are really used to receive text messages and marketing related messages. They're like, for sure, go with those three ones. But for example, in Europe, in Australia, where people are still like getting used for this being for SMS being as a generic marketing channel, I would say try to mix up the marketing and transactional messages. So, for example, let the first message from you be like a confirmation about their purchase, like like something with tracking numbers, so it's really easy to track straight from their phones. Maybe add an abandoned cart, let some time flow, and then maybe in the month add an additional automation. So don't overwhelm people all at once with activating 10 automations at a time. I feel that especially in more novice markets, it can scare people off. So like try to be mindful and like do it step by step.
Yeah. As I'm hearing this, and I'm just thinking about how I would use this, I think my strategy would be to start with the very, very end of the funnel, because at that point, my assumption is that the customer has moved down the funnel quite a bit just on my own. And
Yeah.
so it's right at the very end. They're just about to convert and then they don't do it. And that might be, for me, I can see that would be like the first place to use it, because I've put so much work into getting the customer to that point. To lose them at that moment would be the time where, okay, was it 99 cents? One more chance? Okay. That makes sense. So that's great. So I think our audience has a lot to ponder over. But while I've still got you here, uh, I usually also want to hear more about like how you like you got yourself I almost made it sound like it was like a trap. Like, how'd you get yourself into this? What was your work background like, and how did e-commerce make its way into your worldview?
Yeah. So actually, I had like, I'd say, two turning moments in the e-commerce. So first, like in the university, we were working with a company called Vacamp. It's a big Dutch retailer, and we had a project to work on their website to help them convert, like optimize the conversion rates, because they were like seeing that a lot of people go there but not end up making a purchase. But as part of that project, we actually were invited into their distribution center, where I actually get to see how much more there is to e-commerce. Because like, we as an end consumer, you think, okay, like, they have this big space, they send me shoes or whatever, and that's the end of the story. But when like when once we arrived at the distribution center, realizing that like everything was automated. Like, you had robots like picking the different items, everything was automatically sorted, like almost there were almost no humans. And I realized how much more there is to e-commerce. Like, it's a really innovative industry. It like creates the best out of technology, the IT, the marketing. And also because e-commerce is ever changing, like because of consumerism, like whatever works today won't work tomorrow. So you see that it's like, for me, it's one of the most industries that you can work in. Like, every day there's something new. And this is how my interest in e-commerce sparkled. And about like SMS bump and like getting myself into also the SMS marketing niche. As a marketer, I was, when I heard that there was an opening for the position, I was really curious, because you like in the university, you don't even talk about SMS as a marketing channel. It's like, it's like something like old people would text, but like as a youngster, you just like use WhatsApp, Viber, like Facebook Messenger. So it
Viber,
was
I didn't even hear. I don't even know what Viber is. I've never heard that one.
really,
Yeah,
it's
no.
in Eastern Europe. It's
Okay.
quite known. By the way, for me, they from the messaging apps, they're one of the most innovative ones. They were the first to put ads there. They have promotions and like in apps. Like, I think after WeChat, I think it was called the Chinese platform. This is the second most innovative communications platform in terms of innovations in bringing all of the tools into one. But what I want to say is, like, for me, SMS was like, okay, I didn't even believe that can be effective. And once I got into the company and seeing the great results that people actually get with SMS marketing, I was like amazed. For me, it was like a little bit of of a fresh air, because like 2 years ago, it like you'd always talk about Facebook, Google ads, like all those paid ad channels. And I really liked it. And also, what I would like to say is that what I personally really enjoy is, because it's an old channel, and now it's kind of being brought back. And what I like, and I'm sure also all the competitors in the industry get to enjoy, is that we help to educate a lot of merchants on how to do SMS marketing right. And for me, this is actually what really drives me and motivates me, because no, like, we're not into those established industries like with email marketing. Like, everything there is to know in email marketing is already written out. Everyone like knows the basic rules of email marketing. Like, a lot of people still get to it, but like it's like basically there isn't that much new things there. Whereas with SMS, it's just like now being in the growing phase, and it's like really motivational to help merchants and like unveil this as how it can work for them.
Hmm. Me, I've always been a big proponent of format. So a couple of examples of this. One of the things that I was drawn to on Twitter is that Twitter imposed a character limit. And then they increased the character limit. I think it's like 250 now or something along those lines. And I noticed my interest had changed quite a bit, because when I think the limit back in the day was like 124 characters, that compelled the user to adopt a certain writing style. It made us think more about the value of each word. We would still have to provide a complete thought, but those thoughts had to be well constructed, and each word really had to have more value to it. It's still true with twice the character count, but like it's tangibly less true because now there's more words to use. Facebook is another example. Initially, for me, the format of Facebook to me just seemed like a living yearbook, where it would be a way to commemorate memories. It would be a way to post photos and kind of like reminisce about things happening in the past. This is me like signing up for it in high school. And so when I would send messages to people, there was always that air of, it was great doing this thing with you on this day. Hopefully we get to do something like that in the future, because there was no expectation that people would check their messages for, I don't know, weeks, could be months. And over time, the format of Facebook changed, and now it's everything, right? Like now, I think Facebook has like therapy, like people can like go counseling sessions. That was a joke, but I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line they do that. What I noticed with text messaging is that the format has been consistent the entire time. It is just sending text messages. Now, granted, you can send images that cost data. So okay, there's a slight variance to it, but even so, text messaging is also a self-limiting format because of people's patience. I'm only going to read so much content. Like if sometimes my friends and I we'll start having lengthier conversations. Like I'm okay, you know what? I'm gonna go do other things first, and I'll come back to it. I would say actually like one of the biggest changes in text messaging or messaging in general are those check marks that let the other person know that they read the message. Because once I've communicated that I've read the message, now all of a sudden it's changed my behavior. Now I'm like, okay, well now he knows, and if he knows that I know that he knows, then I got to send this message. So let me pose this to you in a question. This is very broad, kind of like opinion based, so you don't need to feel pressure to be the authority on this. But is there anything to the format of text messaging that you'd like to see change in the future, or do you feel like text messaging is like it's good to go? Nothing. We don't really need to fix anything here.
That's a good question. For a disclaimer, what I'm gonna say, it's my personal opinion.
100%.
think
100%.
I think the format, like seeing what's happening now in the industry, I think the format would move also would start would evolve, I would say, a little bit, and like have a little bit more of a color in terms of not only being able to send those limited amount of characters, but also seeing how youngsters communicate, like things like Clubhouse popping out and TikTok, as you mentioned. I think it would start allowing and like be much more flexible in terms of audio content and video. Um, this is what I assume would happen, just because it's there is already a change in the way we communicate. Like you see, like people are now so lazy to type that they prefer to just like send out voice messages. It's already like the change in the behavior is already here. I think it's a matter of time of SMS also starting to catch up on all those changes.
Yeah, it was a little Orwellian first time I saw one of my friends like talk out a text message, like capital O K, we space will space get space two space pizzas period smiley face send. Like okay, all right,
Yeah.
yeah,
But also, what's really interesting, when a couple of years I used to like did a semester abroad in Spain, there people almost never text. Like you'd see people walking on the street and everyone is like either type like talking their message or like listening really loud their own message. It was, for me, it was really funny because uh at that time I used to be like, I lived in Germany, where like people were like normally texting to each other. It's like it's a normal thing, but seeing like it was everywhere, like every second person, it was like a complete shock, like how much how different the way of communication can be in short distance. Yeah.
yeah. It's also ironic too that like people are like talking out messages to each other, like, man, this is great, I can just talk into my phone and then you can talk back and send a message to each other. God, why didn't they think about this before? Meanwhile, that's it's a phone call. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's about also personal time, just because like this way of communication allows you to listen to it at your own time. Like even I when I speak with friends, I feel a lot of pressure if I have to make a phone call, because it's like a true time dedication. And now I can send out a message, and maybe 3 hours later I'll be just like, okay, let's listen to what they said. Maybe answer in a week. I think that's the this is where the voice messages actually shine.
yeah. I've had a sales job that was like largely like phone calls, and I was selling luxury watches to people who can afford them. So we were more compelled to call because it was more of the personal touch. But it was also a lot more panic inducing because we call these people and like ego comes through a lot more vocally than it does audibly. I haven't told this story in a while, but there was one person who was like expecting his watch to be delivered on a certain day and it didn't show up. So he calls and and he's like, "You understand that I could order a pizza and they'll give me a GPS tracking and I can see where my pizza is, but I don't know where my watch is. Well, guess I'm going to be a prisoner in my own home." I'm like, you know what? That was pretty funny. I'm actually glad that I got to hear that one as opposed to like coming through in text messaging. So, I will say, listening to some of your opinion on this, I, I think that some companies have been working towards this. You see a lot of aggregation in say like in the email sector. With like Google will allow people to connect other emails together. I have like 12 email addresses from all the different ventures and my own websites that I run outside of Debutify. Of like two or three like main email addresses, um, and to aggregate all of those into one spot is convenient and it saves a lot of time. And that is one thing I would like to see is like a full on communications aggregator that tries to aggregate everything. So it tries to aggregate TikToks, it tries to aggregate text messages, it tries to aggregate emails. And so I would have this one stop shop where I would check everything. Okay, now look at a TikTok. Next thing, read a text message. It does like shift the gears in my brain a little bit, but the variety of that, I think it would be. I think there's a lot of potential in that. So for those of you, take a 1% finder's fee on that, but feel free to take the idea
I
and run.
funny that you mentioned that because before starting starting that SMS bump, this was actually my thing. Like I was sure that at some point we're gonna have a one-stop shop, one platform where you can check all the different social medias, answer all the messages, like all the pictures you want to like, but it's all gonna be one platform. Because right now, like even with three platforms, and sometimes I'm like if if it was a one place where everything was feeded, I would have preferred it even more. And I definitely do agree with you. Like let's see who's gonna be faster than us in developing it. But I also definitely see it happening.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there is one downside to it, which is a lot of these platforms do rely on advertising, and so if they can't advertise through this other platform, I can see there being an issue. But we just want to make things more efficient and not less efficient. Especially here, I don't know what the tax rate is over where you are because I don't actually know where you are. But the tax rate over here in Canada is a lot of money, and I'm like, all right, guess I gotta work so I can pay for other people to have shows on CBC. All right, that got way too political. So, last thing I'm curious about is I don't really get to when I joined the industry at large, courtesy of a Debutify, from which I am eternally grateful. It was during lockdown, so I haven't had a chance to like be a go physically do anything. Not that I assume that they're gonna send me to conventions afterwards. I feel like I'd have to pay for my own ticket, but I would love to hear about some of the in-person experiences that you've had. Like, what are some of like the standout conventions that help shape your view of the industry at large?
Yeah. So to be honest, I'm also not the expert in conventions. I've been to maybe three.
That's
Also,
three
the
more
reason,
than mine, so we'll take it.
yeah, like okay, but it like two of them were really different. So the very first one that I went to was the affiliate world in Asia. Like I think it was in Thailand, if I'm not mistaken. And there it was certainly different, like really different than what I've imagined it. It was mostly about all affiliate marketing. Like you'd see a lot of drop shippers, a lot of agency, a lot of those traffic driving sites, and I'm not really sure about the right wording about it. But for me, what was really interesting is how male first it was. Like there were almost no women in the industry. I was like, what's happening? Like I was really shocked. Like for me, it was like really something of a realization. Like that, like all the affiliates and everything. It's like kind of male owned business. I'm not saying that everyone has the expectations of men being whatever, women being whatever. It was just like I think it's like also something that maybe just occurs naturally. Like for me, this was like the first impression. But what I really loved even there is like everyone was just like curious and like super friendly. I think it's like we get to be in one of the most friendly industries there ever be. Like even if you're a competitor with someone, it's just like just talk and like share different views and like not really like the market is so big that you realize that everyone has their own niche. Everyone specializes in something, and like there's always a reason why customers choose you or other customers choose the competitor. So like I think everyone realizes it, and no one is like trying to play dirty and so some things like that. And the other convention I really enjoyed was actually just before the lockdown. It was for the Shopify Pursuit event in Amsterdam, where I actually got to experience the Shopify ecosystem like much closer. And there I also like I just loved it. I was thinking like, okay, I'm really in the most friendly and innovative industry I could be. Like everyone would talk to everyone. You know things like ego or position or how big your business is. No one cares. Like no, if you're just like a three people startup or a huge company working with mid-market customers, like everyone just like talk to everyone, be super friendly. You also don't have those all those, like I call it penguin events, where everyone is dressed in suits and ties. Like everyone is just like really casual and like down to earth. I loved it. It's a great industry to work in. So after COVID, definitely you should try some of the conventions.
Here's hoping. I really would be happy to go to. And I will say too is that like a lot of my like technical concerns with like if the power went out or something like that, a lot of that was just based on like a lot of people have really valuable time, and I don't want to cost them time. And then I remember which episode it was too. It was the ecom wizard Otis Coleman. The power goes out like 10 minutes into the episode. I'm like desperately trying to like get in touch with him, let him know I'm coming back. I come back on and he was like so chill about it. And I think the reasoning is that like this is, as you say, it's one of the most, if not the most, innovative industries, and it's constantly at the cutting edge of its the world. I don't know how to better characterize it, and that incurs a lot of risk. And so I think there's a lot of empathy. Like a lot of people understand that there's a lot of failure and there has been a lot of mistakes. I think if you not to like uh, castigate any particular other industry, but because a lot of other industries are already formalized when people enter into it, a lot of that work is done for them, so they don't have to do as much like personal initiative. So the loss isn't quite as noticeable. You'll find that like the more risks there are, the more people develop empathy and want to help other people succeed, because everybody wants to be a part of a better industry.
Exactly. And yeah, I think that I couldn't even have said it better. It's a really good example also with like what you said with artists. Is just like people are really empathetic and like just genuinely want to help you. Like it's want to share their experience, and like they're really open to also feedback and all those things. It's really nice.
Yeah, one of the best ways to help yourself is to help others. It'll come back to you in the long run. Excellent. So I think that's uh, I think that's everything. Certainly everything that I had to go through for sure. So I think at this point I'm just going to say thank you so much for your time. And if you haven't, usually what I like to do is if you have any parting advice or wisdom or anything just general like to share with people, especially because a lot of our audience are people just waiting for that one little nugget of inspiration to like to get into it. Anything along those lines, feel free to share, and then uh, let the audience know. I guess two things in this case: if you're a producer of any content, how maybe they can check out some of what you do, and then also how to get involved or even sign up with a SMSBump altogether.
Yeah. So the last piece of advice is to start with this. I would always advise people to just be bold and test things out. There is not like it costs you literally nothing. Like with SMS marketing or with everything in your life, just like give it a try, see if it works. If it doesn't, well, there are thousands more other channels to reach your customers. But if it does, just like there are enough resources out there to help you to help you be an expert in that. There are a lot of great people talking about SMS marketing, about in general marketing that can help, but really don't be scared to try it out. It costs nothing. takes less than 5 minutes to set up your marketing properly. So it's just give it a try. There is no wrong. Just don't spam people. That's my true notice. Try not to spam people. Be mindful of their personal space. And in terms of like the content we're producing and like how to reach us, you can reach it if you have some questions about SMS marketing or whatever. You can always reach out directly to me, Elena at smsbump.com. But also check out our YouTube channel. We are really trying to constantly dig it up with a lot of webinars, a lot of talks, and like short, really videos on how to use SMS marketing, how to use SMS Bump as well. So I think that would be the most efficient way to learn more about us and what we do.
Excellent. Well, audience, you'll notice that I've gone into the habit of saying audience now because of listeners, because we're like about 6 episodes into our new video format. So as always, thank you for your time and your engagement. If you want to engage further, you know what to do. So I trust your discernment. And that's everything. Take care, and we will check in soon.
Grow their sales and profits. We also help people get started and learn how to actually build a store. And
hey, this is Joseph from Ecommerce. Just wanted to thank you for being here and for giving this content your time and attention. I hope you learned something. I can say with certainty, I have learned something with every episode that I have done, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. There's a couple of things you can do to help us out. If you want to check out the audio content, we are available on all major podcast platform distributors. And while you're there, give us a 5-star review. It helps a lot. And while you're here on YouTube, there's a lot of things you can do to help out as well. It's not going to take very long. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button for this episode, and hit the notification bell so when we have new content for you, it's going to be at your doorstep ASAP. Lastly, this podcast is created by Debutify, the best Shopify template available. It is 100% free for you to start, and it can change your life. It can make you so much more free than you are right now. So if this episode wasn't enough to convince you, I think a few more might do the trick. So have at it.